We have huge news out of San Jose. The Sharks are signing Erik Karlsson to a mega 8-year contract extension. We'll get into all the details and give you my thoughts coming up next. Welcome back to Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So one of this year's top NHL free agents, Erik Karlsson, appears to be coming off the market. Reports are still emerging on the fine details here, but we have it from multiple credible sources, including Bob McKenzie, Pierre LeBrun, Elliot Friedman, all tweeting out the fact that Erik Karlsson is signing a mega contract extension to remain with the San Jose Sharks on an 8-year deal. Now, as we reported here in the last few days, there was some details emerging that the odds of him staying in San Jose seem to be really increasing. He's been seen publicly meeting with Doug Wilson. They've had dinner together. He's been out in San Jose in the community doing other things as well. So there was a lot of talk that they really increased their opportunity to keep him here by offering him a mega contract. And as I said in one of our videos in the past couple of days, I wasn't sure that Karlsson would really be able to turn this down. Now, it's being reported that he's going to be getting more than Drew Doughty money. So it's an 8-year deal. The fine details, like I said, are still emerging here, but it looks as though it's going to be approximately $11.5 million per year. I would imagine there's going to be a no trade or a form of a no trade clause in it for the entirety as well. Karlsson did have a modified no trade at the last couple of years of the last deal that just expired here that he originally signed with the Senators. So I'm sure a player of his magnitude for this kind of money that they're more than likely will be a full no move for the entire duration. At least I would fully expect that to be the case, but we'll update that here as those details emerge. So depending on when you're watching this video, I will leave a pinned comment at the top here, so just check that top comment as more details become available to kind of confirm the breakdown of the contract, as well as the no trade clause that's likely in there. I will update that in the comments, so check that to get the final details here once those are made available. But for right now, Erik Karlsson is getting a massive contract. Now, Drew Doughty's contract that he signed with the LA Kings is kicking in this year. Up until this point, Doughty would have been the highest paid defenseman in the NHL next season, but it does look like Karlsson is going to surpass that by a fair bit. Now, back when Doughty signed his contract, he signed for 13.5% of the salary cap, and it looks as though the percentages here are approximately the same. Now, this could very well turn out to be a great deal for the Sharks, and it could be a really crippling deal longer term as well, depending on how things go for Karlsson. Now, for anybody who's been following the channel for an extended period of time, you likely know that Erik Karlsson has been one of my favorite players for a long time. I've been a Senators fan for a long time as well, so he was my favorite player in Ottawa for many years and the player I still cheer for to this day. But I must say, this could possibly be a fairly substantial overpayment. Now, I understand the Sharks' position here. They gave up a lot to get Karlsson. Obviously, he was important during their season this past year. Unfortunately, they didn't get the job done to win the Cup, but they did have a pretty decent playoff run. But you know what? He's gone through a lot of injuries over the last few years. A number of years ago, he had his Achilles injury. He had that major foot ankle injury as well. Then he had to have surgery just in the last few weeks for a groin issue. He's 29 years old, so this contract will take him till he's 37. I have no doubt, though, that Erik Karlsson still can be one of the best players in the NHL when he's healthy and when he's firing here at all cylinders. But can he be that player still? I think for the short term, there certainly is a good possibility he can be that player. But after a number of years, if he gets any more injuries, especially a significant one, this very well could be a very problematic contract here longer term. But as I said before, if it wasn't the Sharks, I figured somebody would pony up to pay these kind of big bucks for a player like Karlsson. There's not a lot of defensemen around the NHL as dynamic as he, and I knew somebody would end up offering at least comparable to what Drew Doughty was getting paid, even though many people felt like his value had diminished after his performance the past year and another injury added to that long list that he's dealt with here over his career. A few other details to keep in mind with this contract as well. By signing Karlsson, the San Jose Sharks now have to give Ottawa another second round selection, which will be in 2021. So that's yet another early round pick for the Ottawa Senators. They've been stockpiling them here over the next few years. They have a ton of picks, which would be good for them in their rebuild, but it does deplete even further what the Sharks have access to here. So obviously that is another keynote. And also with the San Jose Sharks, they're going to be tight on cap space. What does this contract mean for filling out the remainder of their roster? Now, before doing this contract, they had approximately $24 million and change in salary cap space. That's assuming an $83 million salary cap. However, there's been reports in the last few days that the salary cap, which we haven't had formally announced what it's going to be yet, may not be a full $83 million. It could come in somewhere between 82, 82.5. And for a lot of teams that are well under, that's not a big deal. But for teams like San Jose, which are really strapped trying to squeeze in as many contracts as they can under the cap here, that could be a big deal. Now, another key detail as well is that they also have a bonus overage of over $600,000 confirmed by Cap Friendly here, which I'll put the graphic up so you can have a look at that, which is going to count against their salary cap situation next year as well. Obviously, bonuses that are built into players' contracts do impact their cap situation too. So obviously, all that in mind, that's going to leave them with, somewhere around 13, maybe 12.5 million, depending on the exact final number, to kind of round out their roster. They also have some very, very key, important other UFAs like captain Joe Pavelski, longtime player Joe Thornton. They've got RFAs like Timo Meier and Kevin Labanc, who proved to be extremely valuable to them, needing new deals after their entry-level contracts are expiring here. So that doesn't leave a lot of money to kind of fill out the roster and get those other guys looked after. They've also got UFAs like Gus Nyquist, who they acquired from the Red Wings, Jonas Donskoy as well. I think they're probably as good as gone. There's just not going to be any money to retain those guys, so I think they likely leave. But the other four I mentioned, I think likely would want to come back. Obviously, the RFAs for sure, Pavelski and Thornton. I just can't imagine the Sharks without them. And I know that Doug Wilson has been a really good GM at getting a lot of entry-level contracts, moving into their second contract done at good deals. But I guess we'll see how good he can get these done. Both these players have certainly earned fairly significant raises, in my opinion, and we'll see how he can manage his cap situation. Could we see the Sharks make another move to shed some salary to keep these other guys in the fold? It's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities here for sure. So with this contract, Erik Karlsson will become one of the NHL's highest paid player, the highest paid defenseman, surpassing Drew Doughty. Hopefully this works out. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and the Sharks get a dynamic defenseman here who can be there for years to come. Obviously, Brent Burns is a fair bit older than Karlsson, so with the two together for a number of years here, hopefully they can accomplish what their ultimate goal is, and to bring a Stanley Cup to San Jose. But they'll keep Erik Karlsson under contract with the Sharks until he's 37. So I know with all the injuries he's had, a lot of people have concerns that he'll be able to make it that far. So I guess we'll see the long-term implications of this contract. But let me know what you think of the contract, and let me know what you think this is going to do for the remaining parts of their roster, and what other players get able to get signed here, and it might lead to other moves that kind of free up some salary cap space. If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So subscribe for more content just like this. There's going to be plenty more NHL news in the coming days and weeks here as we head into the NHL draft and free agency. So stay tuned to Top Shelf Hockey. I'll keep you all up to date here with all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.